Hi there, my name's Vince from mymatevince.com, and in this video today it's another trying to fix video, another video where we fix something which is faulty, or try and fix something which is faulty. Now this one here is my nephew's phone. So I'm around my brother's house, my brother Paul, and his son accidentally dropped this down the toilet, which is the fate of many iPhones. Now if this has happened on an iPhone 7 onwards, then it would have been okay, but unfortunately this is an iPhone 5S. And these are not waterproof. So let's just get the backstory of what happens. So Declan, you dropped it down the toilet, unfortunately, and then it was still working when it came out. Is that right?
Yes.
But then what happened? And you dried it off.
Yeah, I dried it off a towel, and I made the big mistake of turning it on, which you shouldn't do.
But it was already on.
I don't think it was.
Ah, right. Okay.
I don't remember.
Sure. So went to turn it on, and it was working. And then it was when you were on holiday, so you couldn't really do much, so you left it out in the sun to try and dry off.
Yeah, we didn't have any rice or anything.
Sure, so you left it out in the sun to dry off, and then...
I came back,
yeah,
and I'd made another big mistake, which is to put it in the charger.
Okay.
Because I tried to turn it on again thinking, because I don't know why.
Yeah, no, that's fine, listen, it happens to loads of people.
I didn't know at the time.
Yeah.
I put it in charger, which you shouldn't do.
Okay.
It beeped,
Okay.
so then we had the rice,
Okay.
so we put it in the rice.
Yeah.
After 48 hours,
Yeah.
I thought it would be enough. I put it back in the charger,
Yeah.
but nothing happened.
Ah, right. So basically, you plugged it in, it went beep with the charger, and then put it in the rice, and then 48 hours later, nothing's worked. So it sounds like that maybe if it was got early enough and taken apart, it might have been working, but I suppose the corrosion now has probably got worse, and now it's not working at all. So what we're going to do, let's just plug in the charger just to see what happens. So this was about a week ago or so, I think. Was that right?
Yeah.
Right, let's see what happens now. Okay, so at this moment in time, it is completely dead. Let's try to turn it on. This is a 5S, isn't it?
Yeah, also, you see there?
Yeah.
When I dropped it in the toilet,
Yeah.
that there, something chipped off there, which seems
okay.
to reveal the inside of his phone, so that's how the water could have gotten in.
Right, okay, sure. So the phone was cracked beforehand?
Yeah, but that little dent there
Wasn't. Yeah, okay. Well, I'll tell you what we'll do. So now, a lot of people don't bother even trying to fix water damaged stuff because it's so hard. But we sort of know the history of this. It was definitely working before it went in the toilet. So I think let's take it apart and let's give it a good clean with IPA. I have got an ultrasonic cleaner, just a cheap one. Maybe try, to begin with, we're just going to give it a scrub with a toothbrush and IPA, see what happens. If that works, fantastic. If it doesn't, maybe take the board out, pop it in the ultrasonic cleaner, see if that makes a difference. Now, if it was just a case of needing a new battery and a screen, it still might be worth it. Basically, he's got a... What game is it? A Simpsons game?
Simpsons Tapped Out.
Simpsons Tapped Out, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's put a lot of time into it, but unfortunately, he didn't set up an account, so I think there's about 6 months of work that's gone in. Is it 6 months?
7.
7 months of work that's gone into it, and so really he kind of would like to get it working just purely for that 7 months of work that's gone into that game. So if we do have to get a new screen and a new battery, in this instance it's still worth it. On an iPhone 5S, would it normally be worth it? Not too sure, but it would be nice to try and get this working again. So that's the story with it. Let's take it apart and let's give it a good effort. Now, if you haven't seen my videos before, I'm not a professional at this whatsoever. I've never taken apart an iPhone 5S. I'm with my brother. He has had these apart once or twice. Again, he's not a professional. What you see in this video will probably be the wrong way of doing it, but it is real life. If I can get it working, fantastic. If I can't, I can't, but it might be similar to you doing it yourself at home. So first of all, let's try and get the SIM card out. Right, okay. I mean, I can still actually see that there is... it still feels a tiny little bit wet around the place. Wearing gloves, obviously, because it has been down the toilet, but I'm assured it was clean at the time. Right, let's take out the screws at the bottom. So with these, you need, I think it's called a pentalobe screwdriver. Now with these two screws, it's okay because they're different than the others. But with all the other screws, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be making a note of it on this little magnetic board here. So anything we're not clear about, we can just draw. It's you know, like a whiteboard, so with the marker you can just rub off again. So we can just draw a little diagram of it, put the screws in the right place, because I don't know about on this one, but I know on, for example, the iPhone 6S, it definitely makes a difference where the screws go. Some are longer and some are shorter, and you can actually cause damage if you put the wrong screws in.
Definitely makes a difference.
So it makes a difference on this
Absolutely.
one as well. Yeah, okay. So what I'm going to be doing is I've got my little pry tool here, and I've got a little suction thing here. So let's see if we can get the screen up. Is this an original screen? Can you remember?
I can't remember.
So it might be aftermarket. Oh, okay, something's popped out there. Right, so what I'm going to have to do is... So that looks like something's popped out from this part here. The microphone, is that, or maybe the Touch ID thing?
That's the home button,
Yeah.
and that's what kept it in place is there.
Okay.
Yeah, from memory now, in hindsight,
Yeah.
shouldn't have just opened it.
Oh,
You
really?
have to open it a tad or something.
Oh, okay.
I think, yeah, and then disconnect this.
Sure. We should be able to get that back on though, shouldn't we?
Hopefully it goes there, I believe.
Yeah. Okay. Well, this is. Remember, this is a learning curve. So, like we said, don't copy what you see in this video. So we're just kind of winging it, because the chances of getting the phone working are pretty slim anyway. But we'll do the best. So we should have just opened that a tiny bit and probably prized that off.
I believe so. Now, from memory, I normally follow YouTube videos while I do it.
I like iFixit.
Yeah, well, actually, I cracked, because he's a very clear speaker, and I find the I cracked videos in America are brilliant
Oh, okay.
for following.
Sure.
I fix it. They don't actually have the videos as much, but I cracked is excellent.
Okay. Right, well, first thing, before we undo the screen, I know this one from doing the iPhone 6S, we have to disconnect the battery because there's a chance of blowing the backlight.
Yes.
So let's undo, must be this screw, and I presume then we can just pop off that battery connector
I think so,
here.
yeah.
So let's zoom in a little bit so you guys can get a closer look at it. So I'm going to let my brother write down where the screws go.
Why not? We just put them there, then I put the component between, and then you can see where they...
Okay, I'll show that in the camera in a second, hold on. Let me get my tweezers.
I'll put them upside down so there's less chance of them rolling around.
Okay.
This is a magnetic board.
Sure. Now the good thing about iPhones is the parts are normally really cheap, aren't they?
They're all readily available.
Yeah.
And then that goes there. Then they can see that screw goes there and that screw goes there.
Okay.
I think these two are identical, but often they're not.
Let me just show that.
Yeah.
There you go, so just like that, you see. Okay, so we know which screw came out of which hole.
Important not to kick it then.
Yeah.
Or stand on it.
Right, let's pop this off here.
I always use a plastic tool, because don't put metal down, because you never know what...
You could short it.
Yes, conducting it. If there's any residual anything left in it.
Yeah, okay.
Plastic can easily damage stuff. In fact, you know, it's very good sometimes just a toothpick.
Okay. Well, that's the battery disconnected there now, isn't it? So
Yes.
do we need to take the battery out?
No need.
Hopefully not. So now what we're going to do is undo the 4 screws up here so we can get this screen
Yeah, do you want me
off.
to hold that for you? Because
Please. Right, so that's the screen away. So let's have a quick visual look. I can definitely see corrosion down here and a little bit here.
the screen there so you can see the back of that.
Let's zoom in. I think I'm going to zoom in, use a macro feature off the camera, and just to have a look, just to see these connectors up here, to see how, see what it looks like. Okay, so we're just having a quick look here at the battery connector, and that actually looks pretty clean, and the connection here looks clean. But then if you come up to the top, you know, where the screen was connected, can you definitely see that there's corrosion here, around here, and definitely on this one here. These pins here look to be quite badly corroded. Now, as far as the water damage location thing is concerned, I know that when you take it to the Apple shop, they can just look through the SIM card tray here. Now, I can't see any red here, but I can see a dot of red on this side of the screen. So I'm thinking that's what they probably look out for. So for example, when it's all together, it's hard to see now because I've zoomed in so much, but they can look through there and look to see that the that has turned red or not. I can also see, I know on the iPhone 6s, there's another sticker up here. I don't know whether this also indicates on the 5s water damage. It just looks really, really red. And there's also another one down here, so I don't know whether, you know, if it wasn't water damage, would they be white or clear? Not too sure. Right, so yeah, bit of corrosion here, which isn't good. I think what we should do is just take it apart further. Basically, I think we should just take it completely apart because there might be a load of water damage in the actual motherboard down here. So let's zoom out a little bit, because remember, it's not turning on. I'm thinking if there's a problem with the screen, I'm thinking maybe it would still make the noise when you plug the charger in, but there's nothing happening at all. So maybe there's a lot more corrosion elsewhere on it. So let's take... just having a look, screw here. I've done them already. I think I'm just going to take all the screws out and just see what we've got. Got the board out without any damage, but then I presume this is some kind of aerial up here. It's connected to the back of the board here, and I was trying to pop it off with the tweezers and with my nail, but there you go, it's come off now. But annoyingly, it's come away from the board here, so that connector needs to go on to the board here and the other side here, but you can see it's sheared off from this bit here. But that's not the end of the world, because that part should be available to buy, and I can't see it being very expensive. This is the important bit here. So what we need to do is take a real good close look at this and see what damage has been done. Right, so let's get the macro feature on. What I didn't realise is how encased it would be. So I mean, you can definitely see straight away that there's corrosion up this area here. But really, unless I can get to the board itself, then there's going to be, I think it's going to be quite unlikely to get rid of the corrosion, unless of course the ultrasonic cleaner can work its way in there and work its magic. But I was hoping to sort of maybe see less shielding so we could actually scrub the board itself. It just seems very hard to actually get to anything. Right, I can see blue up here, but I actually think it's supposed to be blue. Let's move along and see what we have. Not sure if that's supposed to look like that or not. There you go, you can definitely see corrosion there. Do you know what I think maybe on this? I think clean it just with IPA to begin with, in a little bit of a bath. So we're going to fill up a little container with IPA. We only need it to be maybe ½ centimetre thick, just enough to cover the board. And I'm just going to use a toothbrush or a flux brush, and I'm just going to move it around the place just to kind of give it a little IPA bath, and then put it back together, see if it works. If not, then I think I might pop it in the ultrasonic cleaner and see if that can get in here. I don't really feel confident about trying to get in to the shield in here. I'm not really sure how it even goes together, if I'm honest with you. I don't know whether it's been soldered at the edge here. Unless maybe I could watch a YouTube video and it might be a case of applying heat to it and then maybe it does come apart. Maybe it's just all soldered on the edge, this seam here.
How would you put it back together?
Well, that's the problem. But maybe if we could get it to work, maybe we could just apply a little bit of solder to each of the edge bits here, because it does look like there might be solder on the edge of the board. I can't see how else it's been put on. Well, first of all, let's give it an IPA bath and see if that makes a difference. I think that would be the best thing to do. Okay, so we've got the takeaway box here, and I've got some IPA. So let's just put in enough to cover the board. So a slightly smaller container would be better. So I'm just going to cover it completely. There we go. And now I'm going to get a little flux brush and scrub around the place. Leave that soak there for a bit. I'm also going to clean up the connections on here because there's quite a lot of corrosion on these connectors here. I'm just going to do the 3.5mm jack down here and the lightning connector. I'm going to stay away from the lithium battery connector here because it looks okay, and also I don't really want to be messing around with that. So I've given everything a clean up now. It still looks to me as if this connector here has a little bit of black down the side, so I'm just going to zoom in on it. Yeah, so if you look at these top contacts here, they look okay, but these ones here, they're still there, but it just looks a little bit corroded. But mind you, the gold pins themselves look alright. But I'm just going to get a little fiberglass brush and give that a tiny little rub up and down just to try to get those connectors a bit cleaner. Cover in here, I didn't even know that. Okay, I've just realised I didn't know that, but there's an actual cover in here. So that does give me more access to clean, which is good. Didn't realise that at all. Excellent. Well, that's a tiny bit better now. You can see that they've come up a little bit nicer. So hopefully that will be okay. Right, now that I have all this exposed here, which I didn't realise, I'm going to give this another good scrub around with the IPA. Just in case the issue is up here, because there was quite a bit of corrosion up here. I think that's enough for the cleaning, because I've done a fair bit there, and if it doesn't work I can still use the ultrasonic cleaner to see if that makes a difference. So what I'm going to do now is just try to get it a bit back together. Yes, I broke the little aerial up there, but just to see if there's anything coming on, even if it just tries to charge or the backlight comes on, it will give me some kind of hope. So let's get this back together. Right, okay, so we haven't put any screws back in, we haven't put any shielding back in, but I think we've got enough just to see if there's any life in this. So let's pop the battery back in and see what happens. Right, so let's try and turn it on. Right, I haven't got the home button connected, but I'm pretty sure it's just still turn on or do something. Right, let's get the charger and plug it in and see if that makes any difference at all. No, so it's still completely dead. No. Well, okay, I think... see, I'm still worried about just all the shielding because we haven't really cleaned. We've probably only cleaned about a quarter off the motherboard. I think I am going to pop it in the ultrasonic cleaner just to see if it makes any difference or not. The problem is I'm not really sure. Different people tell me that I need to put it in for a different amount of time, and that can range from like 2 minutes to 45 minutes. So I really don't know how long it needs to go in there for. Maybe there's not an answer. Maybe the more corroded it is, the more it needs to stay in there for. So I'm going to get it set up, take the board out again. There's no point in me filming that. I'll just take the board out like I did before. And then I'm just going to do a quick Google check just to see how long people are recommending to put it in for. And I'm going to go by that, but it could be too long, it could be too short. I really don't know. So next time you see this, I'll have the ultrasonic cleaner up and running. Okay, so I've got the ultrasonic cleaner turned on. It's just heating up. I'm going to put it to 50 degrees C. I'm going to put it on for 15 minutes. I had a look online and there's just a huge variation. There's not much info that I could see, but it just seems to be, I think it depends case by case basis depending on your machine and also how corroded the board is. So this is just pure guesswork for me. 50 degrees C, 15 minutes, and I'm going to see how it goes. I've got deionized water in here, about I think about 1.5 litres, and about 10% of that is this stuff here. Again, I don't know if this is good quality or not. I have got no experience with ultrasonic cleaners whatsoever. We're just going to give it a go. So this is my plan of action for this little iPhone 5S. Looking about online, it looks like really when it comes to water damaged phones, it's very rare to get them working again. Some people say 10% of the time you can if you do a lot of work to it, but I really don't know what is the problem with this phone. It could be numerous different things. So I'm going to try the ultrasonic cleaner, just out of curiosity, see if it makes a difference. And then I think I am going to heat it up and get those shields off, because I can definitely see corrosion behind the shields. So out of curiosity, I'd like to see how much corrosion is actually on the board. So I'm going to get the shields off, and then if I can get them off cleanly, then I will clean underneath again with the flux brush and IPA, and then see if it's working. If that doesn't make any difference, then I will be unfortunately giving up on this phone, because it's not worth it. It's an iPhone 5S, which doesn't cost a huge amount of money. Of course, I would like to get it to work, but if 90% of kind of the professionals, if the professionals are saying 90% of the time it's not going to work, then obviously those odds are down again in my favour. So it probably looks like someone like myself doing it, maybe 99% of the time it's not going to work. So that's really why I don't want to spend days on it. So when this is up to temperature, I will drop the board in and then I will show you it fizzing away. Now, while I'm just waiting for the ultrasonic cleaner to get up to temperature, I'm just going to show you, when I plug this in here, now the battery is disconnected at the moment. If I go onto volts DC, and if I go between the top and bottom contact here, it is registering, I think it was 4 point something volts. So hold on, let's do it this way around. So there you go, 4.3 volts. So it looks like voltage is definitely getting to the terminals of the battery. Now if I carefully, obviously I don't want to short the contacts on these batteries because they can be dangerous, but if I go between the top one and the bottom contact, then the battery is reading 2.8 volts. So there is voltage there, but it's very low, so I presume it's completely discharged, but again I don't know because I haven't got another one to compare it to. But I'm wondering, 2.8 volts, it doesn't seem really, really low, so I'm hoping that if you do plug the charger in there, that would be enough to get it, get it charged and get it working again. Right, the ultrasonic cleaner has just clicked. I'm looking over, it says 50 degrees C, so it's time to pop this board in there. Right, so here we go, up to 50 now. So let's just drop it into here, and now I'm just going to turn it on for 15 minutes. So I let it work its magic and see if it makes any difference at all. Okay, so we're nearly done now. I turned the board over halfway. And there we go, nice and quiet again. So what I'm going to do now is I'm now going to put this back in that IPA bath. So I've just got steamed up there. I'm now going to put it back in the IPA bath to then try to evaporate off the water and the liquid and stuff that's on it. Right, okay, so this is it here, but as you can see, there's still corrosion up here just like there was before, so maybe that would never come off if it's kind of rusted through on that bit. But I don't really think this is going to make any difference at all. But anyway, we'll place it in here. We've come this far, we might as well do a bit more to it. So what I'm going to do now is, again, just going to let it dry off and put it back together. I'm pretty sure it's not going to make any difference. And then I think the funnest bit for me is going to be getting the heat on here and trying to get these shields off and seeing how bad the corrosion is under here. Just to see, really. And then if there is a lot of corrosion, you never know, by rubbing it with this it might fix it. But this is never going to fix it if, for example, a chip or something has blown. Then it's not going to make any difference whatsoever. I think that's just come off the very end bit there. So yeah, obviously if there's a faulty component that's burnt out, then no amount of cleaning is going to make any difference to that. Or for example, if one of the traces in here is corroded through, again, that's not going to make any difference. Right, so I'm going to leave that in there for a little while. Okay, so I've dried it out now, and I've just got the hot air on it just to warm it up ever so slightly, just in case there is any bits where the IPA didn't get to. So now I'm just going to pop it back in the board and we'll see what happens. Right, here we go. Now let's just see if anything happens without the charger. No, but that could be because it is completely flat. Let's plug this in now. No, so still nothing at all. Plug it in the other way. I mean, it should come on anyway as soon as you plug the charger in. Right, there's nothing happening there. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to leave it plugged in just for a few minutes, just to see. But no, for all I know, something could have blown, and unless I'm going to really get involved in looking at the schematics for this, and I mean, it is an option maybe for a future video. I'm just a bit wary about wasting my time. For example, I've got an iPhone 6s that my son owns that has a camera that's not working, and I would rather kind of try to fix that because there's one part that's not working out of the whole thing. While with this, for all I know, there could be like 10 or 15 different things wrong with it, and with someone with no experience, I sort of feel like I might be just wasting my time on this. But I'll leave it plugged in for a little bit. I think what I'm going to do is get the shield off the board and see what's happening underneath it. Okay, left it for 3 or 4 minutes, nothing's come up. Even with the flat battery, as far as I'm aware, it should still come up with the sign that says connect your charger. So I really don't think that this is going to work, even if I left it in for an hour. So what I'm going to do is take the board out again, let's get these shields off and then have a nice close look to see see how bad the corrosion is when an iPhone is dropped down the toilet. So I'm just going to be filming again when I have the board out. Right, so I'm going to start on this one at the bottom and then just work my way around. Now, there's so many plastic connectors around the place, there's a good chance that this is going to just all melt. But I'll give it a go. I'm not going to shield anything else off. If I'm honest with you, I've kind of given up on this one now. My brother has, my nephew has. It's although the video hasn't been going on for hours, we have actually spent quite a bit of time on this, dismantling it and stuff. So I'm not going to spend ages masking up the board. But of course I'm going to do it as carefully as I can, so hopefully I won't melt everything on here. Okay, I've got it at 400 degrees C and the airflow is 5 out of 8. So let's see if we can get this bottom one undone. Okay, excellent. That came off nice and easy. And I don't think I caused any damage to any of the connectors. So that does actually look very clean down here. I can't see any corrosion under that at all. Well, okay, well we'll keep that one off. Let's move on to this top one here, because this is where the corrosion seems to be more concentrated. So let's see if we can remove this one here, and then I can clean it all at the end. So again, same thing, I'm just using a bit of flux around. I'm hoping this one will come off just as easy. There we go, so that's the A7 chip. Nice little Apple logo on it. Again, it all looks fine, doesn't it? Bit disappointed, I was hoping to see a load of corrosion. Corrosion could be under the chips though, but again there's nothing I can do about that, and if the ultrasonic cleaner didn't get in there, then there's nothing really I can do about that. Well, that's a bit disappointing, I can't actually see anything on it. Right, let's flip it over and we'll try to do the other side. Never know, we might find something this side. Now, I presume this is going to take a lot more heat because there's more off it. As well, I forgot I've got to take off this little antenna that goes up here, because otherwise that's just going to melt. That side's coming off here. Excellent. Yay, fantastic. Well, I'm really happy with the way that came off. Now, is there any corrosion? Again, it doesn't look like it, does it? So that was corresponding to this area here.
The wet stuff in, is that flux?
That's flux, yeah. Right, let's zoom right in. Right, okay, looking at it there. Well, hold on a minute, actually, does that look a bit corroded? Up on this side here? Or was that me now? Oh, well, hold on a minute, look. I'm not sure. Maybe there is a bit of corrosion up on this corner. Is that just a flux? I'm not sure. Or is that just a rubber kind of, that coating that's on it? Maybe that's just a coating that's burnt off. If I'm honest with you, I was hoping for it to look a lot worse. Which may be a good thing, because maybe this could possibly be fixed if you knew what you were doing. But you see, you need to know what you're doing so you can measure different things around here. I think for the purpose of this initial video anyway, I think it would be best just to give it a clean on both sides in the IPA again, give it a good scrub, and you never know, just in case, but I'm pretty certain it's not going to make a difference. If I seen it was all furred up and stuff in here, then I would be quite hopeful, but because it kind of looks perfect, I'm not very hopeful. So that's the board there. Now, looking closely, we did find a little bit of damage, I think. If you look at this chip here, look down the bottom of it, it doesn't look very good. This bottom section here does look like, you can see sort of mirrored finish. There you go, that's perfect. You can see now, all along here, does look damaged. So I wonder whether this could be the problem. Let me just try to get it so you can see the actual markings on the chip. There you go. Now, it might have nothing to do with it at all. What we are curious about is why some chips have a mirrored finish, because if you look, like for example, this Toshiba one here is just matte black, like lots of chips are. But then this one here and this one here have a really nice mirrored finish. Now, I understand on like the Xbox and stuff, I think their main APU has a mirrored finish, but if it's covered with like thermal paste, maybe it needs to be really smooth. But I don't know why these ones here would have to have, and another one there, why they would be mirrored finish. So if you know the answer to that, please put it down in the comments. But whether or not, if you're a fan of Apple or not, if you look at that, it does just look amazing, doesn't it? Really is just a work of art, how everything is so close together. Right, so what we're going to do is just going to place these on just temporarily. I'm not going to solder them, I'm just going to layer them on here and put it back together just to see if it has made any difference or not. I'm almost certain it's not going to have made a difference. Okay, so that's everything connected again. That seems important. The home button's connected, I've got the camera connected, battery, the board, and all the ones for the screen up here. So I haven't got things like this little antenna cable connected, but still I'm thinking we should get something. Right, let's zoom out a bit. Now if this doesn't work, it is time to give up on this for today anyway. Let's turn it on. No, nothing there. Let's plug it in. Nothing. No, and when I had a water damaged phone before, the iPhone 6s, it's the screen had failed on it, but I could still hear it when I was moving around the place. You could still swipe and you could still hear little clicks and stuff. So this really has got no power. Okay, so it's the next day now and I'm back at my own house. I took the phone with me. I don't really want to just give up on it that easy because I want to see what's wrong with this phone, and also I would like to get it working for my nephew, mainly for that Simpsons game. So I've had a little look online and a few people said that to fix a water damaged phone you just need to change the battery. So I ordered one from Amazon. I didn't spend much money. I think it was, I'm not sure, about £12 or something for same day delivery, which is fantastic. Unfortunately, when I plugged it in, it doesn't do anything whatsoever. But I have got this little USB charger here that tells you if it's drawing anything. And watch, if I plug it in now, you can see that I think it should be drawing 1 amp. When I plug in the iPhone 6s, it's drawing 1 amp, and this is only drawing 0.17 to 0.19, 0.17 to 0.19. So obviously it's not, to me, I don't even think that is even charging. What is quite interesting is when I plug in the old battery, this is a new battery just rested on top of the old one. When I plug in the old one, in fact I'll do that now, let me just turn this off. It charges even less. So this is the original battery in it, and this is only at 0.04, so significantly less. But again, you know, this is still not charging enough as far as I can see. And yet when I plug in, for example, a working iPhone 6s, this is the one that had water damage before. Now can you see it's jumped up over 1 amp. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this as a bit of a learning curve, I think. And I'm going to have a good look around the internet just to see if anybody has any advice. I'm going to watch some YouTube videos and stuff, and you never know, there might be some testing that I can do on this to prove the fault further, because there really is very little water damage here. Just in case, it could be just 1 or 2 capacitors that's, for example, shorting the power down to nothing. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to basically just look online now and see if anybody else has the answers to see if I can get this working again. Okay, I've been watching quite a few videos, and I've been watching loads on this channel here, Electronics Repair School, and I feel like I'm learning quite a bit. Now, I haven't got to my exact issue, but there is a lot of talk on Google and also on YouTube about this U2 chip. Now I believe it's in the first iPhone that it was called U2, and that's kind of been the adopted nickname for all the other iPhones as well, even though I don't think it's called U2 in any of the other ones. Now I think it's TriStar chip or something. Now I'm not really convinced it is the issue in mind, because some people said that if the TriStar chip is faulty, then you're probably going to be getting a low voltage when you go across the battery connector, and I'm not, which I'll show you in a minute. I'm getting 4.3 volts. But, I mean, that is the charging chip. A lot of people do say that that's the thing that goes wrong on these. So, I think I might try to swap it out just to see. Now, it's going to be a bit of a challenge because it's a BGA chip and it's only 2.2 millimeters square. So we're talking tiny, aren't we? Absolutely tiny. But this is only going to be thrown away now anyway. I can't see anything else that's wrong with it. I've been going across the capacitors and stuff. There are a couple that look like they're shorted, but they might not actually be shorted because I haven't got another board to check them with. And unfortunately I did download the schematics, but it's very complicated for somebody that doesn't know much about these things to look through the schematics to try and get my head round. I mean, I only just about got my head round the schematics of the Walkman, and when I say only just, I really mean only just. There was still loads of stuff I didn't understand on it, and on this there's just pages and pages and pages and pages. So yeah, I'm not really confident, but I'm still going to do it because it's going to be fun for me to try to take off the chip and put it back on anyway. Now, with this channel here, if you haven't already subscribed, I've been subscribed for a couple of months. I know it says subscribe here, but that's because I haven't signed in. But basically, check him out. He either works or owns a repair shop. I think his name is Soren. And he's done loads of videos. It's quite relaxing. It looks like they're live streams. I don't know if he actually does live streams or whether he just uploads it afterwards, but it seems quite relaxing to watch. And it's real, you know, it's real life. So if you haven't already subscribed to him, maybe check out his channel, because I've got a feeling if you like these videos, you'll probably like his as well. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you the U2 chip now, and I'm going to remove it, and I'm going to try to put another one on. And we'll see. You never know. We might be lucky. Okay, so this is the chip that I'm going to try and change. So this is the U2 chip. Now, I think it is 1610A1. Now, I haven't got an A1, but I've got an A2 chip, this top line here. I haven't got a microscope, so I'm doing this on the macro feature off my camcorder. And the screen is only about 3 inches across or something like that. So it's really hard for me to actually see this, and I can't read that whatsoever. But when I look through this little eye loop here, then I can read it. Now, I believe it's fine to change with an A2 or an A3. If this was a 16108A1, then you can't change it. It has to be like for like. But I think because it's just a 1610A1, then it is backward. The newer ones, A2 and A3, are backwards compatible. I looked on Google. I've seen a graph, what somebody said you can and can't use. I've looked at various other things on Reddit, and basically I think I'm pretty safe in putting an A2 in there. Now, I know this looks easy on screen because you might be watching it on a big, well, if you're watching it on a mobile phone, it's going to look small. But if you're watching this on a big HD TV, then you're going to think, oh, this is really easy to do. It's really not easy to do, because if you look at the size of my finger, you can see in relation to this chip here, it's absolutely tiny. And if you look at my soldering iron, this has got a really fine tip on this soldering iron, and you can see it's huge in comparison to that tiny chip. I think it's 2.2 millimeters across. And if you have a look underneath it, there's 36 tiny little balls. So each one of them has to make a contact. So I don't feel confident about this at all, but at the same time, I like doing it, and I want to try and do it. I don't think I've done a BGA chip before, so this is a ball grid array chip as far as I'm aware, because it's got balls underneath it. So I'm looking forward to giving it a go. I wish I knew it was definitely this, but I could replace this, and if it still doesn't work, I don't know if that's going to be because of the chip or because because there's another fault on the board. I might do this perfectly, and then there might still be another fault on the board. But you know, it's just all a big learning experience, isn't it? So let's get on with this and try to change it out. So I'm just going to put some tacky flux on it, and I've got my temperature at 400 and the airflow's 4 out of 8. So let's give this a go. Now, I probably will be blocking the view because remember, I'm not used to doing this. I will try to keep the wand out of the way. I've got to be really careful because there's so many other components around the place. Yes, excellent. Right, and the balls look really nice. Brilliant. I'm not going to touch them. Actually, that's bad, isn't it? Because if they were if they were dull and stuff, it'd be more likely that the water's got under there. But they look perfect, don't they? So that actually isn't a good thing. Right, let me line up this new chip. My head's going to be in the way for a minute, so I'm going to cut this. Right, okay, I think that's in the right spot. And I don't think I knocked anything else when I took that off. So I'm just going to clean up my tweezers a bit because they're all sticky. And I'm going to add a tiny bit more flux. Now, with the BGA, I've been told that you don't press it down. So, for example, on another video, I pressed it down and apparently that like shorts the balls together. So I'm just going to heat it up. I'm hoping that surface tension is going to get it into the right place. Right, so let's put a dot of flux on it again. There we go. And I think I'm just going to use the same temperature and the same airflow. I hope I don't blow it all the way around the place. Let's just give it a go and see. I've got it positioned in the correct place, so the writing is so I can read it from this side up. Let's give it a go. I think it might have moved there. I might leave that. I might leave it like that. I think it moved. I think I've seen it edge just a tiny bit to the right hand side. So look, if it's not on properly, I can always heat it up again, can't I? I don't want to overheat it in case I burn it or blow something else off. Right, okay, so I'm going to let this cool and then I'm going to clean it with some IPA. And we'll put it back roughly together and just see if it's made any difference. Right, that's it cleaned. Just going to dry it off. Let's have a close look at it. I've got it the right way up. I think it looks to be in the middle. Not sure what this bit is glistening here. Hopefully that's just a bit of IPA still drying off. Right, 1 second. Well, I don't know, I think it's alright. I think they're just a bits of plastic where I grabbed the chip. It does look to be in the correct place. So let's pop this back in and see if we have anything. Okay, let's get the battery. Let's do this so you can all see. By the way, you can buy those tiny chips on eBay for a few pounds, but I took it off a 6S spare board that I've got that I'm trying to fix up my son's iPhone 6S with. Nope. Ah, gutted. Ah, it's not that. Ah, so disappointing. Well, let me try another battery. But that's exactly the same reading as I got before. Let me try the new battery. To be honest, I sort of thought it wasn't going to work, but you know, you always get your hopes up a bit. Yeah, 17, 19, 17, 19. I mean, that looks weird in itself, doesn't it? So it needs to be going up to around... I believe it needs to be going up to 1 amp. Unless, of course, the battery's full. But I should still be able to hear... I should still be able to hear stuff. mean, I wonder, could it be as simple as the charge port? I haven't got a spare charge port to change over. But mind you, I'm getting 4.3 volts up at the battery connector. So if the charge port was faulty, I don't think I'd be getting that, would I? Well, I think that the chip I did is probably okay. Let me do some more fault finding on this. Right, I've just been messing around with this, just trying to test the capacitors just to see if I can see anything weird. Now, I don't know, this could be completely normal, but if you look at these bank of capacitors just here, if I touch these together, you can hear they make a noise. So if I was to use a ground somewhere, let's see if that's a ground. No, why is that not a ground? Thought that would have been a ground. Okay, let's use this one here. Now watch this. When I go across this capacitor here, it looks normal because I've got one of the legs short into the ground, and for example the same on this one here, and the same on this one, and the same on this one. But now watch this. This is normal. Now I'm not saying this isn't normal, but watch. This one isn't doing anything as far as I can see. And this one is short into ground on both of them. Now I don't know if that indicates something, whether it's normal or not, I don't know. Now there's a few more. There's a no, hold on, wait. It's normal, normal, normal. These two. Now see, it might be, that might be completely normal, I don't know, I haven't got another board to test, which is annoying because if I did, maybe I could pinpoint the problem. The other thing is, when I've got voltage going through it, I've put my finger across everything and I can't feel anything heating up. And I would have thought if there was a short on one of the capacitors, I thought I would have, you know, feel it getting hot. But then again, I'm not putting any more amps into it. I'm just doing what the battery. I'm just, for example, doing what the charger is doing. Part of me is curious to take these two out just to see what happens. You know, maybe these two are doing some other feature off the phone, but yet they're knocking out the fact that it's turning on. So, I don't know. Let me just see if I've got any resistance from here to here. Strange. Right, let's just put the meter to, well, that's not going to test the capacitor, is it? Do you know what? I might take them both out just to see what happens. I haven't really got much else to do. The thing is, though, it could be a faulty charge point. In which case, then, do I really want to be messing around with these? What I'm going to do is I'm going to take out this one, I think, the one that's shorting, because if this one's just open, then yes, it might be causing a problem, but if something's shorting, then it might be knocking it out completely. But actually, I did want to show you something else. So I seen on the repair school video that what he was doing is he had like a short on the main, on the voltage. So for example, one of them was where the positive was short into ground, so there was a short on the voltage, but that doesn't seem to be the case on mine, because watch this, if I go here, you can see that I've got continuity between there, but then when I go onto this one, I haven't. So that says to me that there's not a short on the power rails, unless I'm completely wrong, which there's a very good chance I am completely wrong. Do you know what's annoying? There's so many people now that know the problem, and they're saying, you know, test this Vince, test that Vince, but I can't see that until I read the comments. And people say about doing live streams and stuff, but the problem is it can take me days. Like for example, now this is the third day. I looked at it around my brother's house, then I looked at it last night, and now this is a third day on it. So if I was good at something, then live streams would be interesting. But when it takes me ages and I'm having to kind of look in between and going on Google and stuff to learn stuff, it's not, at this moment in time, it's not feasible. But you never know, maybe in the future. I'm going to pop out that shorted capacitor and see what happens. That's if it even is a capacitor. I don't know. It might not be. Right, let's test the pads now, see if they're shorted. Yeah, they are. So it's not going to be the capacitor then, is it? Because the capacitor's not going to be shorting together. Nope, nothing. Right, it's not that. As I say, that could be completely normal. I'm just completely guessing here, aren't I? Just pure guesswork, and I can't take off every component on the board. It's impossible. Well, it's not impossible. Well, it is impossible because some of the big chips I'd never get back on again. I don't really know what to do with this now. I'm tempted to order up a lightning port down the bottom to plug that in to see if it could be that's faulty, but I really don't think it is. For curiosity, I'm going to put it back in the phone just to see if anything happens when I've had that capacitor out of it. Also, the reason I was curious about up there is because that's where the corrosion was on the board here. Can you see? It's a very similar area. That's interesting. That's now gone up to 17 and 19. This is the battery. This is the battery that before was 0.4. That's now jumped up to the same as this battery here. That's weird. Let me try the new battery. No, that's the same. But that's not fluctuating between 17 and 19, is it? Oh, it did. It went there for a minute, didn't it? Yeah, there you go, 17 and 19. A bit weird how now that other battery is just doing that. Oh, and out of curiosity, I did try another screen. I have got another screen that I tried, and that didn't work either. Which it wouldn't do because obviously there's not enough power in the board, is there? Just feeling around the place, see if I can feel anything getting warm. Well, I think what I'm going to do is, purely because that there definitely was corrosion in that top bit there, I'm going to put heat all over this bit here, and I'm just going to gently nudge each of them, just in case there is a bit of corrosion underneath one of them which is causing problems. Because if you have a look there, I mean, that's the only obvious sign of corrosion on this board. And remember as well, when we up this area here was the corrosion against these things. As far as I know, I haven't seen any other corrosion on the board. I'm not sure if this is a tiny bit here or not. This capacitor here looks a slight little bit discoloured just here. So I'm going to get the heat on this, and I'm just going to move these around. Right, okay, I was probably covering all that up, but they were definitely all moving around the place. In fact, you can still see some of them are a bit wobbly. I'm hoping they're all still on their pads. So now I'm just going to clean it up with IPA and see if that's made any difference. Okay, I'm just going to let that dry, pop it back in again and see if we have anything. And then if we don't, I think what I'm going to do is I will try ordering up another lightning connector, just in case that port down the bottom is faulty. And if that doesn't work, unfortunately, then I think I'm going to have to call it a day on this one. Exactly the same as it was before. Well, okay, let me order up a new connector down the bottom, just in case there is something in here that's stopping it from working. I think it's worth a try, they're only a few pounds. So when that arrives, I will start up on this again. Okay, so quite a few days has passed. I think it might be near enough a week because I've been busy doing other stuff. But here is the little lightning port. So let's plug this into my nephew's phone and see if this makes any difference. I don't think it will, but you never know. Right, so I'm going to have to undo quite a bit of stuff down the bottom here. In fact, I don't need to undo it all, do I? I just need to plug it in on top of it because there might be nothing wrong with all this. I can just plug the charger into there, so that's what I'll do. Right, okay, that's plugged in. Nothing's happening when I press the power button. Let's see what happens now. So we've got to plug it into the new port, the one that's loose up the top. No, and there you go, it's just saying 0.11 amps. Let's just try the other battery. Exactly the same as before, 0.17 and 0.19, so it's just doing, it's made no difference whatsoever. So I'm so very close to giving up on this. Also, it doesn't matter which way I turn it around, so obviously that's not faulty. I mean, what else can I really do now? I'm just going to have a little look at the motherboard just to see, give it one more go, just have a look around the place with my multimeter, and then I think I'll have to call it a day. Right, okay, I have got a spare faulty iPhone 5S board here, so I'm thinking I'm just going to change a few of the components up round here. The strange thing is, on this one now, do you remember the capacitor was shorting before? Well, now it's not, but yet the phone's still not working. So if I go to ground and go on this one, it's still doing nothing. On the one next to it, it's only shorting on one leg now, while before it was both. And on this one here, it's exactly the same. That capacitor does nothing, and that just shorts on one leg. So it's kind of strange. The short's now gone, unless I've disturbed the chip, unless it's no longer connected to the chip that feeds that capacitor. Hence the reason I'm just going to change a few components over just to see if it makes a difference. Just change a few components over. Let's see if it's made any difference at all. No. Oh yes, it has. 0.9. That looks like a full-on charge. Right. Okay. Let's pop it back in the phone and see if we have anything. That'd be a bit of a result. Mind you, it's still really hot. Maybe it's just because it's warm. When it cools down, maybe it will just break again. It's still red hot. Let's try it anyway. Let's try it when it's warm, just in case. Let's turn it on. Right, nothing's happening there, I don't think. Let's plug it in. No. Now, why was it charging? Okay. Let's unplug this one and plug in this one. Well, that's in. Now let's try that one. No. So, why was it that have a high current out of the board but not in the board? Mind you, this is a different battery as well. Let's plug the new battery in. Or is it just that it's cooling down now? $83, $92. Right, okay. But nothing's happening on screen. Right, so the chip I changed over was this little one here. So you know, basically I had a shorted capacitor. Well, I changed the chip underneath. I don't know what the chip does. but it does seem to be taking a charge now, but yet nothing's happening on screen, unless it means this is a faulty screen, but I can't hear anything. Let's unplug this. Let's plug in another screen. Let's do the one from the faulty phone. Nothing's happening at all. Let's try to take it all out. That's a shame because it looks like I'm making progress, but I really don't know where to go from here. See, there could be multiple faults on this. Definitely looks like it is taking a charge now though. And this maybe in changing that chip over I've kind of shorted something out. And also it's still very warm. But there's definitely nothing happening on screen here. Right, I mean I had that plugged in there. Surely something should display on screen. Yeah, right, I'm just going around in circles here, and unfortunately I'm wasting a lot of time on it. I really don't know what else to change. That was the only place really where there was corrosion. I've swapped it over. Yes, it is getting a charge now, but there's still nothing happening on screen. And you know, I know that this screen itself does work. So unfortunately I think I'm going to have to call it a day, but it doesn't mean that it's definitely going to be over, because possibly it could be a revisit video. For example, if I get comments about it and if everybody says it's one particular thing, then I can always go back and try that at a later stage. But I might well have mucked up that chip, swapping that chip over, because it was a ball grid array one. But mind you, it is charging, but should it be charging at 0.9 or should it be charging over 1 amp? I don't know. Right, this is interesting. I just tried to reheat up the chip that I took off. You know, this little chip here. Hold on. A second now. Where's it gone? That one there. And when I was taking that one off, the heat went through the board, and look what it knocked off on the other side. And look how corroded that does look. So basically, that one's home is here, and it looks horrible. This is up by the water damage. I wonder, could that have anything to do with it? So I'm just going to muck around with this a little bit longer. Right, I'm just going to try and replace this chip now, you know, the one that had corrosion on it. So I've just got a bit of flux on, and I'm using my soldering iron just to try to clean up these pads a bit. Yeah, that'll do me. And I'm going to take the chip off the other board and put it onto this one. Right, you know what, that moves straight away as soon as I put it on. The solder balls were quite big on it, so maybe it melts quicker. Right, okay, let's put this back together and see if this has made any difference. Yes! Yes, yes, yes! Brilliant! There it is. Oh, wow. What a lovely Apple symbol. So come on, do the rest of it now. And then we can work out what is actually faulty on this water damage one. Was it the ports? You know, is the port still faulty and stuff? So it looks like, I mean, I don't know whether it's going to fully boot up yet, but it looks like the fault was to do with that. And that was pure luck that I found that, because I was heating up the other side of the board and this one fell off, probably due to the corrosion. You can see the corrosion under that there. Oh, fantastic. There you go. Here it is. So what I'll have to do is find out what the passcode is, and we have it there, don't we? I wonder, is the touchscreen going to work? Maybe I haven't got everything connected. Oh, just fantastic. Right, okay, let me sort of make a Frankenstein phone out of the parts I've got here and see if I can... There we go. Yes, and I know he's been on that train on that bridge. Look at that, fantastic. Oh, what a result. What a result. So I got there eventually. Okay, so because the video's going on for so long, I'm going to just put the phone together with the bits I have, and then I'll have to find out what this passcode is. So I'm just going to come back to it when I've done that. Right, so I'm with the original battery now with the water damaged phone, and what it keeps doing is it keeps boot looping, and you can see it's just drawing different amounts of amps. So it will go up, then it will go down. I've had it on there for over half an hour and it's still just doing the same thing. Maybe if you left it on for hours it would start to trickle charge, but I don't think so. I think the battery itself is faulty. So unfortunately I can't use the battery off the water damaged phone. And I've just remembered I have to change this little Wi-Fi thing over as well, because remember I broke that at the beginning. Right, that's really interesting. I'm just going through the different parts of the phone, and it looks like the battery is okay. It is turning the phone on, and it looks like we're getting a charge into it. Weird thing is, this bottom connector, this lightning connector, the original one, is boot looping the phone, so it just keeps coming on and going off, coming on and going off. So it looks like the original lightning connector is actually faulty, which is interesting. So what I'm going to do is I'm just basically just going through the different parts. And also I have to remember to put the shield back on the board as well, so I've got quite a bit to do. Right, so because this is a white one here, I'm going to stick with this one here. So this is like the replacement screen, so what I need to do is I need to change over the home button, and also I need to put the front facing camera on here as well. Right, so that's the camera and also the Touch ID swapped over. So I'm just changing the little antenna over. So now I've got to try to get the shields back onto this board here. So I'm just going to use a soldering iron and a bit of solder all around the bits around the edge. It works quite well if you just kind of drag the soldering iron along it. So I've got it really hot, I've got it at 480 degrees C. And if you just do that, you can see the solder's melting. And this is just the existing solder. Happy with how that's come out. Now let's get everything else in. Okay, I've got everything back in there now, including this little Touch ID at the front. So let's close it up, then put in the screws at the bottom and see what happens with it all. Right, let's turn it on and see what happens with it. Annoyingly, I've just looked at that screen and look up the top there. Looks like there's some kind of weird burn issue up there. Now, I don't know whether I've put pressure on the back or whether that's a faulty screen or not. That's a bit of a shame. But let's see if the touchscreen and stuff's working anyway. Look. touchscreen's not working. The vibrate's working, I can feel that. Ah, right, okay. So the touchscreen isn't working. What a shame. I was sure it was going to be okay. You know, I was a little bit uneasy about the touchscreen because I thought earlier when I pressed it nothing was happening, but I thought maybe that was just because I didn't have it plugged in correctly. Yeah, there's nothing happening on the touchscreen. Right, okay, I'm just going to quickly Google to find out what that is, just in case it is something simple, but I doubt it. I doubt if it is. There obviously is something else gone on the board as well. I'm going to let it charge up anyway. Okay, so I've looked on YouTube and there's fixes where you kind of put pressure on the connection up the top and then it starts working, but this isn't working at all. Other people do show changing out one of the ICs, the touchscreen IC, so I'm going to show you that now. Maybe I might try to heat it up. Maybe there's corrosion under it, I'm not too sure. See, unfortunately I've come so far with this phone, but it's useless. If the touchscreen doesn't work, it's good for nothing. So this IC looks like there's 9 balls by around 11 balls. It looks like there's 99, roughly, solder balls underneath it. So when you're dealing with 99 of them, there's a good chance that some of them are not going to make a contact or short together because I haven't got the proper reballing equipment. But I still might give it a go because I actually have nothing to lose, because unfortunately, although I've made massive progress on this, it's still not a working phone. So I haven't really got much choice. So let me take it apart and then I'll show you this chip. Right, okay, apparently this is the IC responsible for the touchscreen, this one here. And it is up where the corrosion was, you know, up around this area here. So maybe there's corrosion underneath that chip there. So what I'm going to do is zoom right in and I'm going to put flux on it and I'm going to try to take it off, clean it off, clean it up and then put it back on again. Right, okay, I'm ready to go. I'm going to put my airflow quite low. I'm going to put it 3 out of 8 and I'm going to have the temperature right up at 480 degrees Celsius. I've put a coin over a couple of the chips just to try to keep the heat away from them. Well, let's give this a go and see what it looks like underneath. Right, I'm very happy with how that came off. Right, I'm just going to try to clean up those little balls a little bit. So I'm not going to be able to reball it, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my soldering iron and I'm just going to run it across there just to try to get them roughly around the same size. And then I think I'll do the same on the chip as well. Well, actually, rather than messing around with that chip, I might as well take the chip off the donor board. Well, there we go. I think that looks okay. Doesn't look like any of them are shorting. So let's get it off this board here now. Right, now I've got a feeling that probably most of those balls are completely flat now, which is not a good thing, or they might be missing completely. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it on the board just to see if it is going to work, and then if it doesn't, what I might try to do is I might try to put some solder paste on here and then just heat it up, just to see if the paste will kind of go to all the bits that it needs to go to. I think it's unlikely, but it's worth a try. First of all, let's put it on here just to see if it is going to make any sort of connection at all. Seems to be in its place. Apologies, the camera's gone right out of focus. Well, I'm just going to clean it with flux and then pop it back in the board, see what's happening with it. Right, okay, I haven't put it properly back together. The shields and stuff are still off it at the front, the back they're on. Let's see what happens now. No, it's still not working. Right, okay, I think I'll take it off again. I'll try putting some paste on it just to try to get those balls a bit bigger, and then I'll give it one more go. But saying that, it could be a trace or something feeding it, couldn't it? Yeah. That's a shame. Okay, I'll give it one more go, and then I'll give up. Okay, after all those hours and hours and hours of work, I've gone back to the same thing, where it's going between 17 and 19, 17 and 19. Now, what was happening was I was heating up that chip that we were talking about, you know, the IC for the touch screen. And then I noticed on the other side of the board was the old favourite chip that got it working to begin with, you know, the one that was water damaged and that had corrosion underneath. And when I looked at the actual board, it looked like it was crooked, and I thought, you know, the pads on the board were crooked, and I thought that's weird. And so I heated it up with the hot air gun, and it actually turns out that underneath that chip, this is really strange. Oh, where's that gone? Here. Underneath that chip, there was like another 2 very thin layers of chip. Now, I don't know if that chip has broken down and it's multi-layered, but basically there was BJ balls on that side, and if you have a look, BJA balls on that side, and if I was to heat up and separate them, there would be BJ balls in the middle of that as well, solder balls. So I don't know what was going on. So what I did is I cleaned up the old chip that came off, you know, the corroded one, because remember I got this chip from the donor board, and put it on, and now we're back to the same rubbish again. So I'm going to have to call it a day. Yes, I could order up another one of these chips here, but the touchscreen's still not working, is it? You know, even beforehand, when I swapped that touchscreen chip over, it's still not working. So, unfortunately, I did come close with it. So basically, right now, it's not turning on. It's exactly the same as it was at the very, very, very beginning. So I am happy because I definitely came close to fixing it. You've seen that I had the picture there and stuff, but touchscreen didn't work, in which case then the phone is completely and utterly useless. But for me it wasn't a waste of time because I had a lot of experience there, taking off those tiny chips and putting them back on, and on part of it I was successful. I think the problem is with a water damaged phone, there's just too many things that could be wrong. You could be lucky, it could be just one thing. It could be 4 or 5 things. So in this instance here, it looks like the bottom the bottom lightning port was definitely faulty. It looks like this little chip was faulty, and possibly that other chip. Do you remember the chip that was near the capacitors that was shorting out? I've got a feeling that that might have been faulty as well. And on top of all that, the touchscreen wasn't working, so there's obviously other issues as well. So I'm going to have to call it a day. This video's gone on and on for hours, even though I've tried to cut it down as much as possible. It's still gone on for for a long time, and that shows you how many hours I've put into this. So unfortunately for this one now, there won't be a revisit video, and I'm just going to be using this for spares to maybe fix up future phones. And I think I might be a little bit wary about doing anything with water damaged phones again, because if the experts say that 90% of the time you can't fix it, then really I should heed that advice. But still, if you enjoyed this, I appreciate it if you do give it a thumbs up. I definitely came close, which is good. And yeah, please subscribe for more trying to fix videos. So that's it for this one. Thanks so much for watching. Take care. Bye now.